Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the question, who's crushing on you and will they make a move? So there are 4 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Rootbeer Calcite. Group 2 is the River Rock. Group 3 is the Autalite 23. And group 4 is the Amazonite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Rootbeer Calcite. So I'm going to start by looking into who's crushing on you, and then we'll get into, are they going to make a move towards you? Are they going to make these feelings known? Okay, so we have Temperance, which is Sagittarius, the Hermit, which is Virgo, Six of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, Emptiness, Boat, and Initiation. So with the energy of the Hermit and Emptiness, this feels to be somebody that you have not met face to face. So this could be somebody who's crushing on you from a distance, like online, for example. Maybe this is someone who has stumbled across one of your social media profiles. If you have a platform, for example, this could be somebody that's a follower or a subscriber who's watching you. This can also be somebody who has maybe like seen pictures of you through friends' social media profiles. So, you know, like you're friends with somebody that they know, kind of like a 6 degrees of separation situation with the Six of Pentacles here. So this is not somebody it feels like that you've ever had direct interaction with. You may be unaware of who this person is. They could be somebody with the idea of initiation who's part of some shared community. So maybe it's something where their avatar is familiar, their name's familiar. You know, if this is something where you have like a public platform, a social media presence, or you know, a social media platform, for example, you're an influencer, you know, you put out content. This could be somebody who has commented on these videos or these posts, so you're familiar with them in that sense. But it could be where they are using, again, like an avatar, for example, so you don't even know their name, you don't even know what they really look like. Maybe all you've seen is a thumbnail. It feels to be something where there has not been any kind of direct interaction between the two of you. So definitely like secret admirer kind of energy, watching from afar, you know, with that boat. Somebody who may live in another country. There may be literally oceans that separate you. Could be somebody from a different culture. The idea of Temperance ties into, you know, they've been watching for quite some time. They've been crushing for quite some time. They give a lot of attention to whatever it is that you put out there. They may also be really scouring for information, trying to find things out, very eagerly anticipating maybe the next posts that you put out, or actively and on a regular basis visiting your profile, visiting your content, seeing what you're up to. It feels to be something with this idea of, kind of this little oil lamp here with the smoke coming out, that in some way they may be kind of prone to fantasy thinking about you, very much like head in the clouds sort of energy right now, jumping to a lot of conclusions perhaps, or just letting their mind sort of drift away into the sweet nothings of what might possibly develop between the two of you one day. Some of this that might be, kind of like these dreams or fantasies about them approaching, you being really swept off your feet, and things just kind of carrying forth, maybe even into a long-term connection with one another. They may also see you as marriage material with these two rings, this Vesica Pisces right here behind the cloud of smoke on initiation. It feels to be something that they may have tried to get your attention already at this point in time, maybe by liking a lot of the photos, the videos that you put out, commenting, things of that nature. But as far as like a direct message or direct social interaction, it doesn't feel to be anything that's happened at this point in time. Maybe they've sent you a message and you've just not seen it, you overlooked it, something about their method of delivery or approach, perhaps already it was too surface level. It slipped by, or it was something that, they caught you on the wrong day and you were just not interested in kind of like opening that door with anybody. And so it feels to be something where there's a lot of unknown with this person as far as, who you are as an individual. They only have sort of these glimpses or this very sort of like one-sided perspective of you based on the content that you put out, or in some way in which you're represented on social media. This can even be something where, if they have seen you through like a friend's profile, or maybe they've seen you in some kind of like a shared community, you've commented on other things, and you may have like a private profile. All they can see is the thumbnail. It's something where they find you deeply attractive. Something's very intriguing from just kind of what little they're able to see about you from a photo. It feels to be something that, they're kind of like regularly keeping tabs on that. Something, it's just almost like a je ne sais quoi kind of energy where they're very drawn to you. They're very curious about you, sort of like skirting the peripheral of your life in some kind of way, trying to find out how to make a move forward, how to make themselves known, what's the proper method of approach in some manner. And so, it feels to be something as well with the idea of the hermit. They could be older than you. This feels to be somebody who's single. They may have been single for quite some time. Could be somebody who's divorced, for example, or just has been alone for a while. And so they may be even kind of lonely and just really prone to kind of like crushing on or fixating on, strangers that they see on the internet, for example. It could have something to do with like a spiritually based community, with the idea of the hermit, and somebody who's looking for love in that capacity, or looking for connections in that capacity that really match up with something with their spiritual vibration or their spiritual interests. So it might not even be, like creeper energy necessarily, but it's just they're wanting to get to know you in some manner, or to kind of like make themselves known, to open up these lines of communication, because they're feeling this like shared affinity with you in some manner. It's something about just your aura, your energy as it translates in photographs. It's something about any kind of content you post that they are able to see, where they feel almost like a spiritual link to you. That might be something, they may have stayed alone for quite some time because they are looking for something outside of just a surface level connection. They're looking for someone they can connect with spiritually. And so something about you is kind of, there's a recipe here that really intrigues them, as far as, if we got to know one another, could this develop into something more? Could this develop into the kind of, connection that is also spiritually fulfilling, in addition to being like romantically fulfilling, that they have been seeking, perhaps? It could be somebody that is even just at a distance for a temporary period of time. So maybe they're out of the countries, can be like someone who's in the military and deployed somewhere, an exchange student, for example. Maybe they are, they're in the process of like traveling, something to do with work. And so sort of while they're on the road, you know, in their hotel room, or just when they're kind of in a foreign place where they don't necessarily have a lot of people that they can connect with directly outside of whatever their business is there, it feels to be somebody that gets online. They're surfing the internet a lot. That for most of you, that's this kind of link between the two of you. They've either noticed you in that sense, an algorithm has suggested you, they may be in kind of like a lonely period in their life, maybe just surrounded by people that they can't literally talk to. For example, they're in a country where they don't speak the language with anybody there. You know, they've got friends or family back home that they're connecting with every once in a while, maybe due to time differences. They have a lot of alone time, a lot of time to, you know, just be in their own energy and just kind of explore and sort of search the web for things. And somehow they've come across you. They've seen your picture. They found your profile. They found your content, and you have their full attention. This doesn't feel to be somebody, and we'll get into that in just a second here. Like, are they going to make a move towards you? But it feels to be the amount of attention that they are investing specifically with these kind of dreamy thoughts. This doesn't feel to be somebody that is wanting to remain at a distance forever. It feels to be that they are most likely single. You know, it wouldn't be a situation where they're juggling you and somebody else. So at least in that sense, if they make a move towards you, if it's something you'd want to entertain, they have that to offer. This doesn't feel like anything where they would need to be sneaky necessarily. It's just a matter of kind of like, how do I approach this person? How do I knock on that door? How do I get this individual's attention? Maybe even to distinguish themselves from just average kind of creepers on the internet that would be reaching out to somebody. So let's take a look and see if they plan on making a move and what comes through as far as that's concerned. Okay, we have loyal heart, happy, door to value, and cornucopia. So this door to value is definitely speaking about they are going to knock on that door. They're going to make a move towards you. It feels to be something where, again, they're still kind of like planning the right thing to say, strategizing the right thing to say, wanting to come across in a very high vibration and a very positive energy. So not coming through with anything like low vibrational. They're not trying to come through with just hello, hi, you know, like a simple just one liner that's not going to get your attention in any kind of way. It feels to be something that they're going to lead with kind of whatever this point of connection is between you, whatever this sort of like 6 degrees of separation is, maybe something with like a shared spiritual community or other community that you're a part of online together, something that they've been able to sort of like glean or understand about you based on these kind of mutual interests, because there's some thread in common between the two of you. It's not entirely random that they've come upon your page, that they've come upon your information. There's either shared mutual interests, there's people that you know in common. It may even be something that, you know, if this is somebody that knows people directly in the material world that you know, they may be sort of outsourcing to those individuals to kind of like put in a good word for them, to formulate some sort of introduction or to vouch for them after they have made that move towards you. But they're wanting to come forth in this very high vibration, maybe even just leading with something that's, you know, kind of not necessarily romantic in nature, but something more in like a practical sense, so that your guard isn't up, so that you're more kind of willing to engage in conversation with them. It could be something where they ask a question, something where they're giving some sort of like a thoughtful feedback. If this is somebody that is like a subscriber or a follower on one of your social media platforms or profiles, they might start leaving comments that are very thought-provoking, to try and get your attention in that way, so that when they make that next step forward to, seek out your email address and send you an email, or a direct message, or just whatever that looks like, that they're not coming in totally out of the blue as this like unknown character, that in some way they're hoping to distinguish themselves from just somebody who's out there trying to pick people up online. They're coming forth in a very serious manner, because although there's, these fantasy kind of thoughts that they have, they really are sensing something about you that goes beyond just like physical attraction. Obviously they find you very physically attractive, since this reading is geared around like who's crushing on you. So there is that element of romance. We do see that with the loyal heart, but there's a real emphasis here on making sure that they come across in a way that feels trustworthy, that doesn't convey as somebody who's, coming on too strong, trying to love bomb, or that they're just completely coming out of left field. So it's sort of like easing their way in. The idea with cornucopia and kind of this harvest is like planting these seeds very gradually, by way of, creating some sort of engagement between the two of you on a practical level, on a surface level, related to whatever this kind of like shared community is. Maybe this is even something that if you have, you offer like services, goods or services online, they could seek those out from you, get a reading, order something that you make, or that you do, or that you sell, and kind of like get the ball rolling in that sense, create that dialogue, establish themselves as like a customer or a client first, so that there's trust, or at least familiarity built in that sense, before they lean into the energy of, kind of trying to shift the conversation and the interaction into the realm of romance. It's somebody who has kind of this understanding that although their mind has been wandering, that this may be something that's kind of a slow process of getting your attention, building your trust, getting that foot in the door. They feel to be somebody who's going to be very persistent in that manner. They don't want to come off as very sort of like overbearing or making you feel uncomfortable. They're not wanting you to slam that door in their face. So it feels to be something where it's just going to be sort of this gradual introduction, most likely from something in just a practical level, but all the while kind of like building that rapport with you, coming forth in a high vibration, coming forth from a place of integrity, so that there's mutual trust and understanding, and the conversation can start that way, building from the ground up, seeing if in actuality these kind of like thoughts and these fantasies that they have, that the two of you, that it might be very interesting to enter into a romance together. You might be very good together. There is a practical element to this person. They're not just completely head out up in the clouds, where, it's really going to take some actual real world interaction to see, is there a basis for this in reality? Can, we establish some sort of like mutual interest, some common ground with one another? Can we build in the proper direction before leaning into kind of these higher aspects, this sort of eventual progression of what they're wanting to experience, which is, not just kind of like an in and out sort of energy, but this is like wanting to get to know you with long-term intentions, wanting to see this kind of grow and evolve in a very organic way. Making sure that the two of you, that your kind of boundaries are respected, that your emotional needs are met, that your comfort zones are adhered to. So somebody who feels very patient, very practical, and they're going to come in, it feels like, with something that's it's interesting, it's solid, it's reliable, it's something that, they may come forth as a friend first, or again just sort of this superficial sort of interaction to kind of break the ice between the two of you, coming forth in a very positive vibration, coming forth in a very transparent vibration, where they're really making it clear and trying not to come forth in a cloaked manner or with ulterior motives, but just to really get to know you on like a human level, starting at square one and seeing where that develops from there. So I'm going to get a few initials, and this could be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got D, Q, O, H, E, B, X, R, and T. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, where I do pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects other than love, such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the River Rock. So I'm going to start by looking at who is crushing on you, and then we will get into, are they going to make a move? Are they going to make these feelings known to you? Okay, so we've got the Two of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The Empress, which is Taurus and Libra. The Hanged Man, which is Pisces. Weightlessness. The Rose Phoenix. And Transcendence. So right away I'm seeing with this Hanged Man, and then we've got kind of the inverted version of that kind of guy hanging, only he's standing upright here in the weightlessness card. This definitely could be somebody also with the Two of Cups that you were in a romantic connection with in the past, somebody that you've taken a break from, someone who had pulled away, gone ghost, gone no contact. They've kind of like fallen off the face of the earth in a sense, and they're watching from afar, crushing, maybe having witnessed you stepping into your power, having gone through some kind of like glow up or personal transformation, and they're wanting to return. They're wanting to transcend the current sort of like limitations that they imposed on the situation. Maybe you were the one that called it quits in this circumstance, and they feel very much like they're kind of hung out to dry, or they've been at a distance long enough from you, and there is this urge to return and to nurture these seeds of potential, to see if the two of you can make peace with one another, move toward better times, or more loving energies than you have been in up to this point. They may be watching you from a fake profile online with this Hanged Man energy. This could be somebody that is almost like having a third party who reports back to them, some mutual friend that you have in common. They could be doing some digging about you, some research, a little bit of spying, sleuthing, trying to kind of figure out, are you available? Are you single? Where are you at? Anything that they can glean, any bits of information as far as how you are feeling about them. Do you talk about them? Do you miss them? Do you still think about them? Are you over the situation? Are you still angry? Are you still sad? What does that look like? So definitely trying to kind of remain cloaked at this point in time, crushing from afar, but not necessarily feeling equipped to move back in towards you. It may have been a very sort of like difficult ending, something with this idea of like the phoenix here, where you really had to rise from the ashes of this circumstance to where it might not be so easy for them to just knock on that door and come back in. Hence the fact that they are seeing or noticing this like transformation within you, and it's got the sparks flying once again. It's really stirred them in the heart space. Even a sense of this may have been somebody you had been broken up with for quite some time. So this can be, an ex from like long ago. and they have, just kind of become very curious. I wonder whatever happened to so and so, and they've looked you up, or they've heard about you through the grapevine, and what they've discovered it has reawakened something within them, to where there's this curiosity of, maybe the two of you were too young the first time around. Could it work this time? Maybe there were some lessons that needed to be learned on both your parts. There's a curiosity. Have you successfully kind of completed these cycles? And is the time maybe right for this situation to become something more? So the other energy that's kind of coming through here, although again, it feels, for a lot of you, this is definitely going to be somebody that you had a romantic connection with in your past. It might have just even been somebody you were in a very short-term relationship with. Something where, other kind of like circumstances occurred in both of your lives. You didn't necessarily have to end things on a bad note with one another, but it's just like major sort of phases or cycles have changed in both of your lives, to where it's not just somebody you were dating, 6 months ago and now they're coming back curious. It would be somebody who's almost, it's been a year, a couple of years, like a decade, somebody there's been like this massive transformation, maybe even just in like literal time that has gone by, to where what they are seeing you in now, the energy that you're embodying now, you're mature, you're, standing in your power, you've grown and evolved in a lot of different ways, that it's kind of, they're seeing you almost, maybe at one point in time, it was like in the energy of a child, and now they're seeing you all grown up. You're adulting in a very beautiful manner in your life. Or it could be somebody that you're in like a no contact situation with, where it's been like this prolonged period of just silence, things really being on pause, and that they are kind of like looking back around. They got curious. You took your eye off the situation, focused on yourself, and that this has really clued them in, energetically speaking, to this idea of, like the opening of your heart, this kind of like softening of your stance. Something is cluing them in to really sort of inspect or investigate the situation. But there's also this energy with the idea of weightlessness. This can tie into somebody that you have no history with, no romantic history with. Nevertheless, it may be somebody like from your past, somebody who you haven't thought about in a long time. Maybe this is somebody you went to high school with, somebody that was like a friend or a relative of one of your friends, or somebody you dated. It's there could be this element of just sort of like, maybe they had a crush on you way back when, or it was something that they only saw you as a friend, but again, they've seen you really blossom. You've really come into your own in some capacity, to where, maybe this is the person that in common has mentioned you, and it's something where what they're hearing, it has sparked this curiosity. Maybe they've seen a photo of you. This could be something where like an algorithm on a social media website, people you may know, has suggested your profile, and here they are seeing you again in this idea of like all grown up. The idea of transcendence can speak about maybe the last time you saw them, you were in kind of like an awkward phase or a transitional phase of your life. You were younger, or maybe you were moving out of like a difficult relationship when they last knew you. Certain things were happening in your life. You were sort of trapped or working your way through other cycles. And now this time has passed, and they're kind of like re-noticing you, or you're coming up on their radar in some way, and it's like you've transcended those difficulties. You've kind of like grown and transformed and blossomed in a very beautiful manner, and it's really piqued their curiosity. This might have been somebody that even didn't necessarily have romantic feelings for you before. Maybe the timing was off in that circumstance, or you were in connections with other people. This could have even been somebody that was like a coworker from way back when. And again, other circumstances have changed. You or they or both of you have sort of transcended some other cycles, and you're back on this person's radar. And now there's this energy of crushing. Now there's this, they're finding you like very deeply attractive. There's this urge to move towards you, to invest in this, to explore these feelings for the first time, or, again, this idea of like to re-spark this connection and see, is it possible to kind of forgive and forget, or grow beyond whatever the hindrance or kind of the hold up, the hang up was before. So I'm going to take a look now and see, are they going to make a move? Are they going to do anything about this? Or are they just going to kind of sit in the fly in the wall energy of the Hanged Man and sort of like watch and pine for you from afar? Okay, we've got co-create, regeneration, attachment, and journey. So this definitely looks like this person is going to take those steps, come back with that apology, take that mask off in some manner here with this attachment card, reveal themselves, step out of the shadows in the hopes that the connection can be fixed, that it can be re-sparked, that phoenix from the ashes energy here with regeneration. Coming towards you, it feels like with the wisdom here, with the owl of, life lessons that have been learned, or even if this is something where it was kind of like a young love situation or something where, maybe it was just sort of things were fine, but it was the wrong time for the situation for the two of you in the past. There's almost this energy of they've moved forward in some way in their life, and there's this desire to kind of like re-explore, to take off the parameters of, whatever the conditions were of the circumstance or the situation, however deeply you interacted with each other in the past. And there's this sort of urge here on their part, something that they are expressing or making known about, these other circumstances have changed, these other things have sort of like fallen away from my life, I've wrapped these up, I've had these particular experiences, I'd like to try again, maybe now is the right time for us. Maybe the timing was just off the whole time, and it's finally our season. So definitely speaks to someone you're, broken up from, you're separated from, taking those steps towards you, going that distance, coming to you with something that's, this offer of reciprocity, coming out from behind like toxicity or any sort of attachments that they had to other things that had interfered in the connection in the past. It feels like they've detached large in part from that and are showing you more of an authentic version of themselves than you were dealing with before. So it might be a very interesting offer that they make, something it feels like that is worth considering. It has the potential to regenerate this situation. It might be something where growth is very, very slow. It may take time to kind of like cross that bridge and rebuild trust, to let this person back in. But it feels to be something where they are going to greater lengths to sort of prove themselves and their determination and the fact that they've changed than they had been able to do in the past. If this is somebody that you don't have a romantic history with, this can also tie into with kind of taking this mask off. Somebody that could say, I was always kind of curious. I crushed on you when we were younger. I always wondered, like, what if you and I had gotten together, and that didn't happen. And again, it's this sense of sort of like, it's been a long time, but maybe that's for a reason. Maybe it is now our time. Maybe it's our season. Maybe our circumstances and our lives are in such a place that we could work. We could be a couple. We could develop into a thing moving forward. It's the idea of kind of like re-sparking again, the idea of like a friendship, getting to know one another again, sort of catching up across time, across distance, building a bridge between one another where, maybe it was something that just exists in memory. It's like you knew each other when you were children, you knew each other when you were younger, or you just knew of each other. Maybe this is something that it's like a friend of a sibling, or the friend or a family member of somebody you were friends with, or even somebody that you dated when you were younger. And so there was just, it feels like for a lot of you, there might have been like minimal interaction with this person in the past, or even like no interaction. They just knew of you. It was somebody that you wouldn't remember them. They wouldn't have been on your radar. It would have just been like somebody in passing, but maybe they were, kind of like looking up to you, for example, and like, wow, that's a really attractive person. That's, and they always kind of like thought of you, but based on the circumstances and the time, it just didn't work out between the two of you. And now's this time where they're kind of like taking that step forward, and like, I was always attracted to you when I was younger. I was always interested. I always thought it'd be good to date you, or to explore that, or to experiment with that. And so this definitely feels like this is somebody who takes that step forward. With this little tightrope here, though, they may just come in very gingerly towards you. It doesn't feel to be anybody that rushes in. Even if this is somebody returning from the past, they may be very cautious, based on the circumstances that sort of put the two of you at a distance from one another, or a lot of time that has passed. It's a sense of they can't rush back in. And it feels to be like a very sort of like free-flowing kind of energy, that it's really like two people getting to know one another again for the first time. So again, something that's like slow and steady, maybe even sort of like reaching out from afar, via social media, some kind of like email or direct message. This could even be somebody who like sends a text message or a phone call, something where there's distance between the two of you. It doesn't feel to be anyone that's going to like show up at your doorstep, show up in your physical reality, kind of like orchestrate a chance meeting between the two of you or anything like that. It feels like they're going to knock on that door, but with enough kind of like cushioning that if you reject them, if you ignore them, if it's just, maybe their kind of instinct about what could develop if that's wrong, it's no harm, no foul. You both just kind of move on your own particular sort of ways. And then at least they've taken that chance. At least they know. It definitely feels to be someone that's they're not going to continue to hide behind the shadows and just sort of entertain the energy of what if. They will shoot their shot. They will make their move towards you. And also with this idea of like this mask here, it might not be the person you're immediately thinking of when you're watching this reading. If you're like, okay, that's my ex so-and-so, or that's this person. I always thought that they were interested, they wanted more, they still had feelings. It feels like for a lot of you, this is somebody that it's like when this person reveals themselves, you're going to be very surprised, either to learn that they still think about you or that they had feelings. It's possible this is somebody that dated somebody that you knew. Maybe this was like a boyfriend or a girlfriend of like an ex-friend of yours, something to where in the past it was too tangled. There were like too many obstacles to transcend before. And so it was just a lot of unactualized potential, but maybe a lot has changed. Whatever those other people or those other circumstances were have totally fallen out of both of your lives. And it's sort of like, what more excuse do we have for not exploring this with each other? That third wheel or that other person that was involved or those other people, they're not part of the equation anymore. Maybe it's something where they're not even friends with that person. You're not even friends with that person anymore. There's no more excuse to like not do something about this. So for some of you, it's going to be very surprising who it is. And for others of you, it may be surprising as well that this person still cares, that they're watching from afar, that they're crushing, that they've noticed your glow up, that they are planning this move towards you. It may even feel that kind of this energy of like a humbleness and a present ability to reciprocate with you. That also might be very surprising. It may demonstrate some change within, kind of like two people who've gone through a glow up. But again, it's this idea of like building very slowly, sort of like tiptoeing into this circumstance with each other, and that's kind of mutually felt or experienced. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got K, L, W, V, B, H, F, C, I, and A. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of pick a cards and general energy readings related to subjects other than love, such as spirituality, wellness, ascension, and self-love. So if that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Autalite 23. So I'm going to start by taking a look at who's crushing on you, and then we will get into, are they going to make these feelings known? Are they going to make a move towards you? Okay, so we've got the Seven of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Wheel of Fortune, which is mutable energy, and that is Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, and Sagittarius. And we've also got the Ace of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Equanimity. Ecstasy. And gratitude. So this Seven of Wands indicates somebody who has been fighting their feelings for quite some time. This Ace of Pentacles is reminding me of a coworker and somebody who has recently been promoted at your workplace. So this could be somebody who's a manager. They've gotten some kind of pay raise, some kind of increase in duties and responsibilities. It may even be somebody that at one point worked very directly with you, and this promotion that they've gotten, maybe it has them at a different branch, at a different location, in a different department. Their desk has been moved in some manner. At one point in time, they had like greater access to you on a daily basis, or kind of your involvement with one another in the workplace, it was regular. And it's a sense of almost somebody, it's bringing to mind somebody who might have been very sort of like stumbling over their words. They would blush a lot. Somebody who was kind of like really chatty or would talk really fast or just seemed very nervous. Somebody who paid a lot of compliments. Somebody who you may have, in a sense, almost found to be kind of annoying with the way that they were just fawning all over you, in a sense, or kind of annoying with the way that they would get really sort of like nervous or like butterfingers in some way. Something that gave you like a particular impression of them as sort of like flaky, or that there was just something like odd. It may have even been something where, they were normally kind of like a warm person with other people, but around you, they sort of like clammed up, or it's just something about their energy shifted in another direction. It may have been this sort of situation where they would make an excuse to like leave the room real quickly, whenever you'd be around, kind of like directly and obviously sort of like avoiding eye contact, just something in their behavior and mannerisms that was outside of the ordinary of how you would observe them interacting with other people, or it's just something that gave you this sense of like an imbalance within them. It may have been something that you almost misinterpreted as that they didn't like you, that they were, a snob in some manner. You may have really at different points in time kind of like taken this personally onto yourself in some manner. If it was like leading into awkwardness or where they were really just avoiding you. It's somebody that you had just sort of compartmentalized as like, okay, well, that person, they don't like me very much. They don't like my job performance. We're just not compatible. We're not clicking. We're not meshing well. And it might have almost been something that was like a sigh of relief when they got promoted or moved elsewhere, or kind of like away from your general vicinity, because it feels to be something that's been almost like misinterpreted in a sense, kind of what this approach was. On the flip side of that, though, this could be something where if they were coming on like really strong in terms of just over complimenting, like love bombing in a way, or just being really chatty, coming up with all these different excuses to like come to your desk, and talk to you or ask you questions, go out of their way to kind of involve you in conversation, something that may have even really impacted the ability for you to do your work. And again, might have been this sort of like sigh of relief, like, balance and order has been restored now that this person has kind of been moved elsewhere. This could also be where they have gotten another job altogether. They no longer work with you. And in some manner, it almost feels to be that their removal from your material environment has been a welcome change of pace. It's almost like balance has been restored, order has been restored. You're able to kind of like focus on your tasks at hand without having this person, even something where you could almost just like feel them sort of like watching you from across the room, and that it led to an element of distraction, or it absorbed so much of your like mental energy, your confusion and your focus, trying to sort of figure out what's this person's problem, what's going on with them, why do they keep directing all of this kind of like weird or uncomfortable or like awkward attention in your direction. Almost a sense too of there may have been like a lot of chemistry, the idea of equanimity, a lot of mutual attraction between the two of you, but they just for a long time, like the Seven of Wands, it's never gone beyond that kind of just awkwardness, or this very sort of like obvious chemistry, but that they've not made a move in some kind of way. And something that, again, this idea of like you both find each other very attractive. There may have been a lot of mutual flirting back and forth, but it never went further than that. They never asked you out. They never kind of took the situation further. It might have even been that you were in a higher up position than this person. So there could have been like this element of, propriety in the office place. Like it was something that might have been frowned upon as far as the fraternization. It feels though that in some way, that playing field has been leveled in some manner, or you or this person have kind of like moved in another direction. Something has really changed and shifted to where now there's almost this breathing space that is either, for some of you, it's bringing in the sigh of relief. For others of you, it's almost adding to a bit of this element of distress. Like you're really missing having this person's presence around. You're missing that element of kind of that flirtatious energy within like a professional context. But in terms of this reading, it's definitely that can, we'll take a look in a second and see, are they going to do anything about this? But it definitely is this confirmation of, they've been crushing on you. They've been crushing on you for quite some time. Depending on how this situation is applying for you, it's either made them really awkward, or it's made them kind of like devote all of this weird kind of attention to you, but never. It doesn't feel to be anything where they've asked you out. It's not, this isn't somebody who has, you keep sort of turning them down in a sense. It's almost like they just have been dancing around this. They've never made that move towards you. They don't know one way or another. You don't know for sure. That conversation has never taken place as far as like just the general sort of like weirdness that this person demonstrates, just even like a tension energetically speaking within them, like when the two of you are around one another. But whatever that is, it's definitely speaking to, these feelings that they have for you, a lot of passionate energy they have for you, their mind kind of like going round and round, all these possibilities of sort of like what could develop in this situation in time. Maybe also kind of somebody who may be in the process or has been in the process of trying to like find a loophole or some kind of way to very diplomatically express these feelings or this interest, in a sense that if you turned them down or it got awkward, that it would still kind of like preserve the professional relationship that the two of you have. It wouldn't make things weird in that capacity. And so, again, it's a lot of kind of like busyness in the mind space. This can also, though, if this is not a work connection, this could apply to somebody, if you're a student, this could be somebody you're in class with, that again, their body language is weird. They get really stumbly, really nervous, really, they won't make eye contact, or they just sort of, they could be having, a very engaging conversation with a group of people, and then all of a sudden you show up and they just shut down. They get really awkward. Something about them just noticeably changes to where others may really perceive that, like, that was weird, that was awkward, or at the very least, like, you're noticing it. On the other side of that, it could also be sort of like this mutual friends group that you have, some sort of a shared community. For example, like if you take a yoga class, you take a pottery class, you're in any, I'm also hearing like a parenting group, so maybe like a play group for kids, and this could be like another it could be somebody who's married, so the parent of some other child, or like a single parent, like a friend of your child's, the parent of that kid, or something, some aspect of there's a direct physical connection between you. You're in sort of like shared environment. It could be any of those situations, but the bottom line is you'll know who this person is based on that kind of that weird energy that they give off, or a lot of just like they're giving you a lot of attention, and it's a lot of flirtation, and it's a lot of like coming to stand near you, fawning on you with compliments, chatting you up, taking and absorbing a lot of your time, but not up to this point. They haven't asked you out. They haven't confessed any kind of feelings. They haven't broached that subject. They may have made little suggestions like, well, if you and I were dating, this would be the case. Well, if you were my girlfriend or you were my boyfriend, I wouldn't let something like that happen. Or, just whatever it is. They may have thrown in little things like that, but it feels like that's the furthest that it's gotten. But definitely some degree of just like awkwardness in a certain manner. And even for the person who might be kind of like annoying and chatty and sort of like takes up a lot of your time, you do find this person attractive. Like if they could just sort of temper down that aspect of their personality, this would be somebody that you would entertain the possibility of dating them if it went to that. There's a lot of mutual attraction there, but just something about this person gets very weird when they're around you. So let's see, are they going to act upon these feelings or just continue to be weird? Okay, so we have higher power, treasure island, blossoming abundance, and man holding a coin. So this man holding a coin is really giving me the idea that this is somebody who continues to just like hold these feelings within. This turtle here on the treasure island, like they are really slow in kind of making these things known. This is not the energy of like they're never going to reveal this, but it's almost like they're very shy with this idea of like blossoming abundance. Maybe having to do with like the workplace dynamic. It could be very delicate. It could be something with the idea of like higher power. They're very concerned about like what the higher ups would think, or if there's some kind of discrepancy between, like your positions. Maybe this is your manager or you're the manager, that it's almost like out of necessity. They at least in the immediate future feel the need to just hold on to these feelings and to continue to just be weird when they're around you. They don't really feel that they can express that. It may be where they start to kind of lean a little bit more in, drop a few hints or suggestions, maybe almost hoping perhaps that you're the one who says something first, or they just continue to be weird in the sense of like avoiding you altogether, or, just like clamming up, avoiding the eye contact because they're not sure kind of if it's right, if it's okay for them to sort of act upon these things to open that door to curiosity. And so they continue to crush on you. They continue to almost blush or, hold these very kind of like tender feelings for you. A lot that they want to say, but it's held inside. It's like they hold their peace. It feels to be somewhat the same sort of situation here. If this is like somebody that you are in class with, for example, it's a fellow student, or somebody that's in like a shared friend circle or some kind of like community, some sort of activity, there's some other reason for your interaction with one another, that it's almost like for the greater good of that dynamic, they're going to continue to remain silent because they don't want to create any sort of like awkwardness or weirdness. They may also be very much not wanting their pride to get hurt, to be wounded in case they are rejected. Even in the case of the person that's like really chatty and there's a lot of flirting back and forth, there's some aspect about them. Maybe they are still feeling kind of tender after their last breakup. They're not entirely sure. It feels like for the immediate future, they continue to kind of like feel things out or to remain very comfortable in the way the dynamic is at this point in time, to where it's something that like in the future, maybe after the semester ends, if this is somebody that's like a parent of one of your kids' classmates, maybe after that, school term ends, maybe you're a teacher and this is the parent of one of your students, like after that kid's no longer in your class, maybe they would revisit it at that point in time, or just it's something where they almost just like need more information. They're kind of like, they could be praying about this, asking for signs, kind of checking in with that internal guidance, but something within them tells them that it's almost like it's best to just sort of like hold back. So more of that energy of like the flirtation, the awkwardness, whatever that's manifesting as. So this can maybe just serve as a confirmation for you that there's not something wrong with you, that it's almost just this person, they feel to be very like shy in nature, and the circumstances make it to where they don't really know how to approach this in the right way. They're not giving up. They're still very much, attracted to you. They're liking this flirting. They're liking, even if they get all awkward and nervous and weird and stumbly with their words, they're still very like focused on you. They're still very, very much holding on to those feelings of a crush. So it might be something that, so the further along the line they dance around this, that might change as far as them becoming courageous. It could even be that sort of like divine intervention happens and orchestrates a circumstance or situation where they are emboldened and they're making that move towards you or expressing something in some manner. This can almost be like if you go out with coworkers, for example, and people are having drinks and they're feeling very comfortable. That could be the occasion where this person opens up a lot more, or things kind of take on that new level, that new kind of possibility of what could develop between you. But in the normal circumstances, kind of like under the light of day, they're just going to continue to, sort of hold that within, and whatever way that's currently manifesting, it feels like more of that. This can also tie in with this idea of higher power. If you feel guided, that it's almost like you might need to be the one to sort of break the ice in this situation. This person's just they're kind of stuck. They're just taking their time with that sort of like what to do, how to make a moves at the right time. So it might be something that just the idea of blossoming abundance, more time might be needed for both of you to come to a place of kind of like confidence within to say, okay, are we going to just let this be a crush, or is this something where, we're going to explore this and see if it can become something more? So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got V, A, L, P, H, O, F, C, T, B, Y, N, and X. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, where I do pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects other than love, such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 4. You chose the Amazonite. So I'm going to start by taking a look at who's crushing on you, and then we will get into the question, are they going to make a move? Are they going to make these feelings known, or just keep that to themselves? Okay, so we've got the Hermit, which is Virgo, Page of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, the High Priestess, which is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, Direction, Initiation, and Boat. So interestingly, on this direction card, we have the Amazonite. So the same crystal that you picked is also showing up again in this reading. So Amazonite is a crystal that is associated with like heart-centered communication. So it has associations with both the heart and the throat chakra. So this feels to be somebody that is, they want to say something that is more than just like surface level flirtation. This might be something where this could almost be like a counterpart or a twin flame sort of situation. Somebody, it feels like very much secret admirer energy, or somebody who you have not discussed the nature of feelings like this. It may be something where it's almost kind of like a shared community that you have, somebody that's noticed you through a shared community, somebody whom you have like a spiritual connection with, that may be recognizing you from afar, or almost had this like jolt of recognition, maybe something where they had like dreamed of you prior to meeting them, and they're like, okay, this is my twin flame, this is my person, this is my counterpart. This feels to be the intensity and nature of these energies is like far beyond just your average sort of crush situation. So this could also be somebody that you have kind of like a long and convoluted history with. This can be your twin flame that you are at a distance from. Maybe in the past they denied having feelings, whatever the circumstances were that kind of put you at a distance from one another. This idea of boat, they are not in your physical proximity. They're not in their world, in your world. They've moved off in another direction. The two of you may have really been on kind of this shared path of ascension, very individually, kind of like walking those parallel paths to come into kind of like a greater capacity to become the love that each of you has been seeking individually. With this idea of these two Amazonites showing up, it feels to be, and a lot of this may be something again with kind of the element of like a secret admirer sort of energy. You may not know what's going on with this person. You may not have seen them in quite some time. It may be, that a lot has changed in your life since you were last interacting with them. And at least as far as what's coming through in this reading, they have also undergone some profound personal transformation where it feels like with this Page of Swords, they're definitely watching you from afar, tapping in energetically. This may be somebody who is kind of like in the process of strengthening or enhancing some kind of like psychic gifts within themselves. They've gotten some kind of clues and awareness. They may have prayed about this. They've asked spirit about this. They've gotten signs and confirmations, a lot of the same sort of synchronicities. It's almost just like the unspoken truth. It's the words that have not been said yet, maybe ever. Something where it's this process of kind of like initiation that needed to take place for the two of you individually, where the separation, the distance, the time apart was very necessary for each of you to kind of like grow into more of those heart-centered beings that you were always kind of intended to be. Maybe this twin flame journey really sparked an awakening within each of you. So if that's the case and you are resonating as a twin flame in separation, this can indicate that this is your divine masculine, or this is your divine feminine. It's your divine counterpart has come to some kind of point of self-mastery and clarity within themselves. They're in a very spiritual place. They may have really found themselves, found some kind of a spiritual path, something that has helped them to make these sort of profound changes in their life. They've been working on their shadow. They've changed direction in a lot of ways in their life. They've gone within and healed. They may be initiating kind of this process of returning to you. Again, like goes beyond crush. It's the feelings for you have never died. They have always kind of been there within, sort of this companion energy. And so kind of this sense here of like making these plans and preparations to bring forth that heart-centered, truthful communication to you from a very empowered stance. Something that really opens the door to the possibility of beginning again, building again, but from more of a high vibrational place than the two of you had been operating in previously. And so again, this like watching from afar could be, sort of sleuthing you out on social media, kind of like lurking, looking you back up, seeing, trying to like get all the facts and all the data as far as, are you seeing anyone? Are you single? Are you available? Maybe, someone who has kept tabs on you this whole time. They've been crushing the whole time to a greater or lesser degree. Something within kind of your experience, however sort of vocal you are about that, however open you are about that, maybe even just something they're able to really notice vibrationally that translates through photographs that you have on social media, things that they're seeing, things that they're aware of, that is almost giving them that cue or that indication that it's time to return. It's time to take things to the next level. They may be learning a lot from you, or really sort of like able, it feels like, to look in that mirror that you represent for them. So contrary to the other three groups, this is definitely, where the rest of those were sort of like, true crush situations. This feels to be somebody that you have like a deep history with, deep kind of like past lives with. If this is somebody that you haven't yet met, this is again someone who has maybe like noticed you, maybe seen you from afar, seen you in passing. It could be somebody that lives at a distance from you, so maybe they've just sort of like seen you in some capacity on social media. Maybe you are in a shared spiritual community, you have some kind of platform, some kind of a social media presence where they just have this deep soul recognition of you, that you two are, twin flames or kindred souls or soulmates, or like a past life connection between the two of you. It's this deep like soul recognition, like birds of a feather kind of energy, where they're drawn to so much more about you than just like the physical package. There's something on a spiritual level that is really just, it's got them fixated. You've got them hooked in a sense. And it's kind of with this idea of like their wanderings, they're almost like anchored in place now. They've really sort of like honed in on you as like, this is a person that I have to find a way to connect with them. I have to cross this bridge between, like, if it's a total stranger, sort of like initiate some kind of conversation for the first time, come into this person's life without, it feels like someone who's very consciously aware of this deep kind of draw towards you. So maybe somebody who themselves is spiritual, they have some kind of spiritual knowledge, they understand soul connections, or they understand themselves enough to really sort of pick up on this deep, like activation that's happened within them, heart chakra activation, maybe even through seeing you, through hearing you speak, through hearing your words, seeing the things you post, just in some way touching on you energetically speaking. Towards really drawing them in closer of like, it's a spiritual crush, basically. It's something that is really just indicating to them that this is a significant person. This is somebody you need to meet this person. You need to sort of like do something about this. Very kind of like fixed and watching you, not in a creepy sort of way, but just very much like very spiritually aware on a soul level. They're very like honed in on you. It goes way, this energy feels to be a lot more intense, or it's a lot more insistent than just like an average crush sort of situation. So somebody who they may have been going like in one direction of their life, and you have just really, you've stopped them in their tracks in some manner. Either if it's the person from the past, this kind of level of recognition, or if it's somebody, that is still a stranger, they are still unknown to you. It's still like full secret admirer energy. It's just something where it's almost like the trajectory of their life has now shifted to where this is an area they're being drawn in as kind of like destiny or fate in a certain manner. So very intense energies here of this, crush that this person has upon you. And it feels to be something about dreams is coming through here. So especially if it's somebody that you haven't met before, it's almost like they've been dreaming about you for quite some time. They're familiar with you energetically before they have come into this awareness of you as like a physical person in bodily form. They may have literally dreamed of you, or just energetically they're like, I know you, I know your energy, I know you from somewhere, I know you from other lives. It's a very heavy and intense energy right here of this crush. So with that being said, let's see, is this person going to do something about this? Or are they just going to, continue to kind of remain secret admirer and just kind of like watching and compelled from afar? Or is this something that they're going to make this known? Okay, we've got Goddess of the Moon, First Chakra, Archangel Michael, Poised, and Truth Be Told. So that is not surprising to see this Truth Be Told card here. Just the way that this energy feels, it's almost like this individual couldn't, if they wanted to, stay away. They couldn't keep silent about this. This is not the kind of person that's just going to be able, really, from the way this feels, to sit back for the long term and not approach in some kind of manner. With this idea, though, of the Goddess of the Moon and the First Chakra, they're going to keep a lot of that hidden. This doesn't feel to be somebody, particularly if it's somebody that is new to you, somebody who has just had this kind of like zap of soul recognition from afar. They're not going to come knock on your door and say, hi, I know we've just met and it may sound really weird, but you're my twin flame, or I've known you in a past life, or, I was dreaming of you and here you are, and now I have to meet you. They're not going to lead with that. They're going to keep a lot of that to themselves. There's, with this mask here, they're going to reveal kind of like bits and pieces. There's definitely, they may come to you in an energy where they almost feel very guarded, something that's very cloaked. This may be something that sort of like pings your spidey sense in a way as like, what is this person holding back? And this just feels, it doesn't, the idea of truth be told, it's kind of like that gradual opening to that. They come towards you with this idea of eventually sort of like revealing that, but in time, that it's something that that needs to be built toward. There needs to be a firm foundation of like trust, understanding, laying a good foundation with one another on like a material sense and a practical sense, and maybe just starting off as friends, or just not wanting to like overwhelm the situation. This may have been the first time that they felt so intensely, so they are kind of struggling how to sort of put all this to words, and so it's kind of like one step in front of the other, but it feels definitely to be something where if it's a new person, you're going to be able to sense that they're holding back, that there's kind of like more than meets the eye to the situation. That could be a hurdle that's, you're going to have to rise beyond that in some way. That could be a test or a challenge for the two of you about honesty and trust and boundaries, and kind of bringing those down in a certain manner. If this is somebody returning to you, again, it feels to be something where they may not lead with that whole energy of like, I see the light, I know who you are to me, you're my twin flame, let's get together and kind of like move off into the sunset with one another. They also are going to hold a lot back. They're, whatever the circumstances are that have like had the two of you at a distance, maybe it was the intensity of the connection, the intensity of whatever was awoken within each of you, where you needed these parallel paths and this time apart. There's a sense here with this owl of, you've each sort of stepped into this place of wisdom within. You've seen through experience your approach to one another in the past and how things might have fallen apart, what not to do, and there is a definite interest and presentability in to not repeat those things, to really learn from the past, to build slowly, to not open up all at once, to try and lay some kind of a foundation. It feels to be something, though, that again, this is not going to be somebody that's going to be able to hold back forever. It may be something where it starts very slowly and then it kind of just like snowballs, and you're out of the gate and running with one another. Maybe it's something, though, that, it's you both have done this kind of like growth and maturity within yourself. You've ascended on your spiritual path to what might have been intense energies that were very difficult to maintain and kind of pivoted you into separation in the past. This time around, opening those floodgates, you're both like spiritually stronger and sort of like vibrationally stronger within yourself, to where you may be able to withstand that current or sort of work with that force a little bit better. It'll be different for everyone. It kind of varies situation to situation. But this definitely speaks to, in both of those sort of scenarios, that yes, this person who is crushing, they make themselves known, they approach you, but they hold a lot back at first. But it's something to where it comes from a place of wanting to ensure that the situation and the intensity of these energies and these feelings have something to be grounded into material reality, that you aren't both carried away by that, or it's something that, the intensity of it means that the connection burns out very quickly. This is something where, it's of a level of importance and interest and like compelling them forward, that this is something that requires being delicate with. It's a sacred energy. Again, this is a lot more than just like romantic crush kind of feelings right here. This is spiritual. This is the spiritual crush group right here. Obviously they're attracted to you romantically. That's the, framework of this reading, but there's just something so much more for this group. This deep kind of like counterpart energy where they're wanting to empower the situation, have that very heartfelt communication between the two of you. Maybe a lot that needs to be spoken that was unable to be expressed before, or if you're getting to know each other for the first time, it's, before leading in and leaning into all those kind of esoteric aspects and kind of the outside of the box aspects, the coincidences, the synchronicities, the dreaming about you, knowing you energetically, this spark, whatever was compelled, that heart chakra awakening when they first saw you or first encountered you in some manner. Rather than leading with that and kind of allowing that to be the foundation, this is somebody that they're gonna hold back and really demonstrate tact and determination to build some other kind of a foundation with you first. Friendship, taking things very slowly, just taking it day by day, so that again, you're gonna know, and it's gonna like clue you into something that whatever they are telling you, whatever they're demonstrating, whatever that reasoning is, whatever those conversations are, that it's something, there's almost like conversation within a conversation, like simultaneously you're speaking and your higher selves are also interacting with one another. So definitely could be like a roller coaster experience, something that might be very kind of next level from what you've experienced with this individual or with anybody else prior. But this is absolutely somebody who is going to speak their truth. They're going to cut through that wall of silence. They're, going to make that communication, but it's going to come forth in a very grounded and guarded sort of way, with the intention, their intention of opening up gradually into the exploration and expression of these deeper feelings in time. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got T, U, Y, G, J, V, Z, S, E, R, M, F, and D. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, where I do pick-a-cards and general energy readings related to subjects other than love, such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.